Hey guys, we are here doing song stories, talking about the songs off of our album Always Sing. I'm Tanner. I'm here with Sarah Harper. I got some questions on my phone I'm going to be asking you, Sarah, and we're going to be talking about the song Presence today. So in case you don't know, Sarah writes a ton of music, like a lot of her own original stuff, and she's always cooking something. But what's interesting to me is that you write in so many varied styles, because you can come in with like lower energy, really emotionally toned, slower songs. There's another song on our album, This Is the Life, that's got more of like a poppy feel to it. And then we land on something like Presence, which has become this really like anthemic proclamation song. So acknowledging that, your ability to be agile and write in all these different genres, what would you say is, if you had to narrow it down, is your biggest like singular influence on how you write as a whole?
Oh, gosh. Well, that would have to be the band that I have listened to ever since I was 4, and that is Hanson. They write all their own music, so I have definitely learned a lot from them. I would say that they're the influence.
And which parts? So I don't know if I actually know anything by Hanson. I might. I don't know. 2004 was a long time ago, and I don't know what I was listening to. I don't think I was choosing like my own music that I was listening to back then. But what would you say the parts of what they bring to the table that interest you? What would you say out of those things make it into your music?
They write a lot of songs about hope. They write songs about all kinds of different subject matters, but they always have some type of lift to them, and I think that that's something that carries it over into the songs that I write for PCC.
Okay. And do you think hope plays a big role in your own personal faith journey as well?
Certainly. If you don't have hope, you don't have anything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And continuing this thread of exploring you more deeply as we talk about this song, and like we said, knowing you have a rather large catalog of original music, I know personally through conversations that we've had that Presence itself is extremely important and personal to your faith journey. And it's actually a much older song than some of the other songs on our album. So can you let us in a little and talk about the season of life you were in when this song manifested itself?
Absolutely. So I wrote Presence in the spring of 2019. And at that point in time, I definitely didn't identify as like a worship songwriter. I was writing a lot of love songs, breakup songs, and I was reflecting a lot about the hardest thing I'd gone through in my life at that point in time, which was this huge breakup. And so I was writing from a place of like looking back at some really horrible things that had happened, but seeing God's hand in it and trying to write about it in a way that wasn't very exclusive to the situation, but just focusing on, you know what, I went through this horrible time, but I got through it because of God. He was with me every step of the way, even when things were super difficult. I wrote it in my old office, my last job, and I didn't think much of it. I presented it to my pastor at the time, and it didn't end up getting used, and I kind of processed that as rejection, even though that's not what it was.
Right.
And it lived in Google Drive for a very long time, and when it was time to submit songs for the album, I did not think about Presence until like the last minute. I was kind of just throwing out everything that I had, and then I just on a whim was like, oh, I guess I'll throw in Presence. It's not my best work or anything, but maybe they can make it better.
Yeah.
And I was a little surprised to see that Presence was considered, and Elijah, his hand in it made it so much better. He added this big build that reminds me of like Fix You from Coldplay. Makes it so much better, more exciting, more lift to it, changed the structure of the bridge. It's come a long way.
Yeah.
For sure.
It made me laugh when you said, no offense, don't take this offense. It made me laugh when you said you were going through this breakup, because I also know, when we were talking about influences before, you said Hanson, but I also know that you're a huge Taylor Swift fan, which obviously her thing as it became part of her culture is the breakup song. So it's just
she's
funny.
number 2 for sure.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Yeah, it's funny that you said that. And something really clicked with me when you said that is, you said you kind of threw Presence in, but a little behind the scenes when we did our audition process for people to come in and be a part of the album, because we really wanted anybody who's a part of our music teams across our campuses to be able to be involved if they wanted to. Presence was I think, the most auditioned song, particularly for our female vocalists, which tells me that, and obviously it sounded great, but it tells me that a lot of people connect with the song itself. And so I think if you were to go to anybody who's seeing this video now and say, what's something you're struggling with in your life, they would probably say, I need the presence of God. And you're saying in this moment you experienced it. So as you were going through this and you're writing all these words like, the skies crack open, I know there's no place that I can go that's too far from you. Like, you're voicing this in your song. But when you were in that moment in your life, how did you really experience God's presence? Like, how did you know that he was there with you? Because I think people need to hear that so that they can start to see that in their own life as well.
Well, I'll be honest, going through that experience, it was very foggy. Like, it was hard for me to discern this is God allowing me to go through something difficult with something greater on the other side. And I think that's a lot of my experiences where I'm looking for God's hand in the situation, but I don't necessarily see it. But you kind of just have to claim what you know to be true. And the song comes from Psalm 139, and that's kind of what I clung to.
Yeah. What I believe, again, a little bit behind the scenes, what some of the best part about the process of this album has been is a lot of us brought music that we had written personally. We bring it to the table, and it allows people, like you mentioned Elijah, but it allows a big swath of people to get their hands on it, and it becomes this new thing. And like you said, a big part of Presence now is this build. There's swelling. There's this piercing guitar that leads into this big bridge. But I know that wasn't always the case. So when you wrote Presence originally, what did it sound like? Because it has evolved into what it is now. So
Certainly.
What was it like?
Well, it was very similar, but it was not nearly as energetic. I recorded my little scratch track with keys. I was like half singing it, so there wasn't a whole lot of volume to it. The bridge was a completely different sound to it. I had this very spicy chord in it. It was almost kind of eerie.
Yeah.
But the people that were collaborating to workshop the song definitely brightened it up and took it out of the shadows.
Yeah.
And
I want to tell you guys that what's funny about Sarah, I said she writes a lot, but she's also probably the most like professional-ish musician of all of us that were on the team, because when a lot of us brought our songs to the table, we're like, oh yeah, I kind of wrote this. We played on our phone speakers and it's like, and it sounds like, it sounds terrible. And Sarah's like, oh yeah, I wrote this. And it's like perfectly mastered and she's got it all on her computer. Don't let her fool you. But I did have one more question before we close out, which is, we have talked about what Presence meant for you personally, but if you had to narrow it down, what do you really want the people who are listening to this song, as they do, what do you want them to get out of it for them personally, or for their understanding of who God is and what he can do for them as they listen to it and learn to sing it?
I really want for people who hear this song, I want for them to know that they're not alone and that they've made it through every single one of their darkest days, and God has a plan for them. Like me, you might not see it in progress, but you have to trust that he's with you.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time today talking about this. We hope that you guys can connect with Presence and know that God is with you in your darkest moments. And we'll see you next time.
You were always there beside me and behind me and before me. You were always there to guide me and to hold me and to show me your presence. Where can I go from your presence? I live and breathe for your presence. Oh, you were always there beside me presence.